let's go see how this 2G swapped 4th gen actually performs, runs, and drives. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As I left off on our last video, here is our subject. This is a 2017 Ram 2500 Mega Cab, and this is the truck that we just did all of the work on. Now, it did absolutely dump at our house recently, so it is a little dirty from being in the rain, but let me show you guys what we're working with here. If you missed the last video, we have a CSP4 profile on here. It now has a 2nd generation swap, 2G swap. This is the kit that I decided to make because customer needed it done faster. So we have all stainless bros piping and flanges. We have a forced inductions 467.7, 83 turbine, and a 0.9 housing. Currently, this truck is running stock fuel. We did a coolant reroute, so we got rid of his riser pipe, a steed speed manifold, courtesy of Power Driven Diesel, a set of ARP 2000 head studs, and then previously to this on this truck, I did install a Banks Monster Ram kit for him. That's what he wanted. So there is our 2G swap. Again, valve cover coming soon. So we just went with a temporary but somewhat clean solution. We did mount his dipstick as well to make sure it doesn't have any issues. And then we capped it off with a Power Driven Diesel air filter. And then not pictured or seen, we did install a PDD high pressure valve body in this 68 RFE, as well as some transmission tuning. So let's get this thing fired up and let's go take you guys for a drive. Again, stock fuel, okay? Stock CB3, stock lift pump, stock injectors, all right? And I'll show you guys how it drives with this 2G swap. Last thing, we did install a on-3 intercooler. I forgot about that. So that is down there. I've done a couple videos on those. They install really nice. Decent upgrade, especially if your old one's full of oil from a turbo failure. For everybody wondering, here it is. I know this is gonna be fast. It does not rub on the AC. Does not rub on the power steering or alternator. Fits real nice. Now guys, I think it goes without saying, again, not my vehicle, okay? So, not getting wild, but I'll show you guys how it drives. God, I told this customer, I said, dang you. He's like, what? And I said, oh, now I'm looking for a 4th gen. He's like, really? I'm like, yep. Not too bad on the old acceleration. I don't know what tune file we're in. Let me check here. Oh, 3. That'll work. That'll work. It's the one I normally drive on the most anyway. I'm gonna roll up the windows a little bit so we get some less wind noise here, but still get some of that 2G rasp. Now you guys can hear the transmission kind of moving around a little bit. It's pretty normal for just doing a new valve body with a quick relearn. That is why I tell people to not beat on their trucks right after we do a relearn or mess around with the transmission, because this will be a quick life of a 68 if you do not give it some time to acclimate to its new shift strategy, etc. So makes all the right noises. Locks out shifts like it should. Do a quick pull. Now, I will say, this thing had a turbo failure, so be careful looking at the exhaust and judging it too harshly, because we are burning out a ton of oil in the exhaust. So I do my best to flush it out. I disconnect it right before it goes over the axle, and I'm able to spray it out to the best of my abilities, but that oil just gets everywhere in the exhaust. So I told the customer, I'm just letting you guys know as well, like, hey, it's gonna smell a little funky, it's gonna burn a little bit blue until you burn it out. The best thing you can do after something like that is either replace the exhaust, which is expensive, or just go work the truck real hard, get the exhaust hot, and over time it will burn itself out. But that first few times you start working this truck hard, it is going to certainly have some smoke out the tailpipe. And here I'll kind of show you guys what the smoke looks like. It's just zoomed in here. Up a slight hill. That being said, not that bad. Very clean. Stock fuel trucks, like, I'm sorry, they're like a cheat code. I mean, you're not gonna make a ton of power, but they stay so clean all the time. Especially with a 2G swap, as long as you have like a normal size turbo, a 64 or a 67.7 are my go-tos. And basically it's a conversation with the customer of how much power do you want? If they say all I ever want is stock fuel horsepower, I throw a 64, 83, 90 T4 on it. If I have a customer, like this customer, that's like, hey, I'm gonna probably want 750, I throw a 67.7 on it with an 83 turbine. I put it in a 9.0 housing while it is still stock fuel. And then once the stock fuel is over, we will evaluate if it needs a 0.90 or a 1.0. But yeah, I can see it kind of hazing now. We're getting the exhaust hot enough where the oil is starting to burn itself out, which is good. You know, obviously I want to start that process for the customer, but I don't joyride these trucks, okay? Like, these aren't my personal vehicles. This one I'm just going on a little bit longer of a test drive for you guys and to make sure we get this transmission learning out of the way. This customer in particular loves to have fun with this truck, so I know as soon as he picks it up, he's gonna go try and have fun with it. And you know what? I don't care. He always pays his bill. A great customer of mine. I just want to make sure we get him taken care of and out of here. For those of you guys that are wondering what a second gen swap with a muffler sounds like, I hate to disappoint this guy. It is a full 5-inch straight pipe with a 4-inch down pipe, and in the cab, pretty loud. I won't lie to you. It's an acquired taste, I feel like. I am getting to the age range where I think I would appreciate a muffler, but to each their own. I do know as soon as you start towing with this setup, it gets very, very loud and droney, especially in that back seat. So I guess if you don't have passengers, it doesn't matter. But if you do have passengers, you may want to make sure you think about them, throw a muffler on it. The muffler does kind of cut down the drone quite a bit. But yeah, let me get us turned around here and then we will get you guys on the way home. Alrighty, folks. A little bit more test driving for you. Going through the old gears here. Now, something I do tell any guy that has a 68, if you're gonna play with it, All right, tap shift, okay? Tap shift, tap shift, tap shift. That is your best friend. That is this thing right here. That's what I mean. You're gonna use the tap shifter. All right, the tap shifter prevents anything crazy from going on inside of the transmission, i.e. shifting down. A lot of times when guys will be going down the road and then decide to floor it, the 68 takes a little bit of time. It's not like an Aisin or an Allison, but it does take a little bit of time, and it tends to unlock the converter, flare the RPM, and then suck itself back down. There's a lot going on. Versus if you just tap shift this thing up and down, you're able to complete the gear change much, much easier. All right, and honestly, even with a 48, especially full manual, if I'm about to go do a highway pull or something and I'm in overdrive, I'm gonna go ahead and downshift it into third to get the RPM up. It's no different on a 68. If you're going down the highway, lugging this thing in 6th gear, and you wanna do a pull, downshift it at least to 5th, if not 4th. There's plenty of RPM there, and if you're trying to have fun anyway, it's, you know, gonna be there. But this thing drives so nice. No smoke. That's what we like. We did not put a soft limiter on this truck. A hard limiter. I will do it if a customer really, really wants to, but I prefer to do the no limiter, no pops and bangs. But I will say, from time to time, it is cool, and it is funny because we posted a video of a hard limiter, I don't know, back in like 2020, and I had a few tuners reach out after that, cursing me because their customers wanted hard limiters. And you guys can see with this extended shift point 68 file, it really extends that RPM window out, which helps, number one, keep the 68 alive because you have more speed in the transmission pump itself. And the other nice part is when you're running a bigger turbocharger that needs a little bit more exhaust, it naturally drives the charger better by delaying the shifts. Now, if we were in a non-tuned 68, this sucker would probably be almost in 6th gear by now, and currently we're in 4th, and not because I locked it out. You can see there's 5th right there. It won't grab 5th till about 50, I believe, is the threshold. It's a little off on every truck, tire size, stuff like that, but should be 50 when it grabs 5th, and about 58 to 60 when it grabs 6th. So that way this thing doesn't lug itself to death to keep the trans alive, and it'll also keep itself up on top of the turbo. It's funny, we have this roundabout kind of close to my house, and you could tell people that have never been on one when they get nervous that you're gonna hit them. There she is. You guys can hear that flare starting to get better and better and better. It will continue to do that as long as this customer gives it a little bit more time to learn. And now I will go ahead and tap shift this thing. See how much smoother that is when you tap shift? It's because the transmission's not having to do all the calculations for you. It just does what you tell it to do. Very nice. As long as you're above a certain RPM, certain mile an hour, it will command the upshift. Makes life super, super easy. And this thing, like I said, it's stock fuel. It's not a race truck by any means, but it makes all the right sounds without all the drawbacks of all the smoke and everything else. Very, very nice setup. Again, really making me contemplate buying another 410. Maybe even a mega cab. God, I love mega cabs. I wish mega cab long bed was an option from the dealer, because I think that's what I would buy. So that way I have all the cab space and I can still tow my race trailer. I think that's my biggest issue with my race trailer is you can't tow it with a short bed, so I was stuck in a long bed, and because of that, the mega cab was kind of out of the question. I didn't really want to stretch my truck, and I didn't want to run an offset hitch. It seems like those tend to put a lot of stress on some parts that we don't necessarily And there we have it, guys. We got this 4th gen, 2nd generation swap all taken care of. Got his coolant topped off, went over it. No leaks in the driveway other than the AC evap going. And man, it is a beautiful truck. Shame it's a dirty. That's honestly why we didn't film or drive or do any of this yesterday, because it was raining. And you could see his forces still got wet just from how much it rained yesterday. I mean, it was absolutely pouring down rain. But really like this truck. Honestly, anytime it shows up, it's always one of my favorite trucks. I'm a big wheel, small tire kind of guy. All right. Now I will say this to you guys: I would never buy. I think those are 24 by 14s. I stop at 22 by 12s. It's just that's my stopping point. I can't go further than that. Doesn't mean I don't like looking at them though. But it actually drives surprisingly well. I was actually quite surprised. And there is your breakdown, first drive, all that stuff. Makes the right noises, runs really good, and you can see very, very smoke free. Again, the biggest thing with any of these trucks is just getting a good calibration in the computer, a good tune file. And with the 68, again, like, you need to be able to tap shift it if you want to have fun with it. All right. And it's no different than a full manual. That's why people go to full manual 48s. That's why I tap shift my Allison. That's why I tap shift my tow truck. You know, it's a lot of torque down low like that, and it's not good for anything. And then you guys saw where we put the mass airflow. You know, I know there's a ton of drama all the time over mass airflow location. Really, if you just want to put it almost at the cross-sectional area of the long side of that pipe, it is going to give you a little bit higher of a reading. However, you're putting it in a 5-inch pipe, so it does tend to kind of balance itself out. They drive really good like that. If, like, for instance, this truck particularly, right, there was no straight parts of the pipe. So the only place you could really put it is in a bend. It's where you put it in that bend that matters. Versus over here on my personal dually, you got to see we have, well, this is disconnected, but we have our mass airflow on the bottom, but it's in a piece of straight. That gets a really good reading to our mass airflow sensor, all right, because it's in the straight. Now, you guys may be wondering what's going on with the dually. Well, quite frankly, we got some new stuff to try over here. We got a turbo that Jarrett over at Force Inductions has been patiently waiting for me to try. And then we have a little bit different setup here for our atmosphere turbo. I'm going to try dropping it down a little bit, see if we can't get it to tow even better. It tows great until we get into the mountain grades, and we're not sure if it's just the pure weight that this truck's having to move, or if maybe that 85 was a little slow to come on, and we shall see. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the 2-part series on this 4th gen, the build and then the test drive. Give this one a big thumbs up. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you are not already. And as always, I will catch y'all on the next one.